Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the OSC second Old Boys conversation series of conversations. We're here tonight with Josh Rose. Um, Josh spent a lot of time with us and is now back in the coaching ranks, so that will be an interesting story. How are you?
Not too bad, guys. Sorry that the noise will be gone in a second.
That's all
Not
right,
my
can't hear it.
not
So
my kids for once, so it's all good. I don't have to worry about it too much.
work is
No, look,
forever there.
it's good to be here. It's good to chat. So I'm interested to tell some stories.
Yeah, please. Okay, so starting off, who would you say influenced you your view of football and your desire to be a footballer, and quick overview of your junior playing time.
Yeah, I don't think there was anyone who really inspired me. I think I was just a really active kid that grew up in a family of five kids with a single mum. So we had to look after ourselves a lot. We were all very active. Small country town, so we played a lot of different sports. Football was one of them, and I really enjoyed it. I wasn't too bad at it as a kid, so I stuck with it, and I loved watching the Premier League goals on a Monday night. I think it was SBS back then, the highlights, and I just tried to replicate that every weekend I went out to play. So I think I just inspired myself just through the love of sport and just watching on television and things like that. I wouldn't say there was one person that inspired me to play football.
Okie dokie. So you're a Queensland boy.
Yeah, I grew up in Rockhampton.
Nice, nice area. Okay, so what age did you come into the professional domain?
I moved to Brisbane when I was 18 years old. I was still playing football in Rockhampton then, and I got tapped on the shoulder by a few people and said, "Why don't you go to Brisbane and try and make some money out of the game?" And to be honest, at that age, I didn't even think anything of making money out of the game. I just played for the love of it. So I thought, what have I got to lose, really? I just thought I'd challenge myself another step, play at a higher level, and that's what I did. I moved into the Queensland State League at the time, and I did a little bit of research with some people that I knew, and I moved to a club that were willing to give young players an opportunity if they were good enough. Wynnum Wolves back then, and I moved to a good coach, Peter Takisi, and a good group of guys that he'd got together, and we had a really successful year. We won the premiership that year in the Queensland State League, and it was the first time in the club's history in 80 years that they'd won the premiership. So it was a really exciting year and a fantastic year for me to move to Brisbane. And from there, I got an opportunity to train with the Brisbane Strikers in the old National Soccer League, and earned myself a part-time contract with them, which is what it was back then. Still a part-time contract in the old National Soccer League. So
Mm.
from there, I had a few seasons with them before the A League broke up, and once the franchises sort of came to eight from 14 NSL teams, I struggled to make that first initial jump and ended up over at New Zealand Knights. Which was it was a challenging period for myself. It was difficult, but I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself and about the different challenges and built a lot of resilience. So from there, I took a step back and went back to the state league, and then from there ended up in Romania. So that was another big step outside the comfort zone, but it was a massive step in my football journey for sure.
So, like going from Rocky to Brisbane, you've moved away from home, and then, yeah, as you said, the jump to New Zealand, and then Romania. Romania must have been a eye opener in regards to the
Yeah, it
way
was.
it was
It
set up
was
in.
when I was sort of at a crossroad. I was probably about 24 years old, and I was probably at a period where I had to decide whether I wanted to keep chasing playing full time or trying to play full time or look to get a real job, really. Um, and the Romanian thing came up, and I did a little bit of a Google search, and I was just another one of those things of what have I got to lose, really, it was massively outside the comfort zone. But I think with those things, you just got to immerse yourself in the culture. And the best when you do that, you give yourself the best chance of fitting in and like I said, you fit in with their culture and do things how they do it, and you get the best chance of succeeding.
So you went over there speaking nothing of the language. Is it true that McBreen was over in Romania as well? Was that a similar time, or you didn't come across him there?
No, he was there about 18 months before me.
Right.
He didn't have the best time there. He had a bit of a difficult time. He was at the same club, but it was a difficult period. Look, it was very cutthroat over there, as football can be in East European a lot of times. And if they don't like you, if they don't want you involved with the club anymore, they just don't pay you or things like that. So it can be quite brutal. I was lucky where, the first 3.5 years I was there, or the first 3 years, everything was quite smooth in that sense. So I had quite a relatively good experience, to be honest, with my time there. So, but yeah, there have been a lot of other experiences that can be difficult for different players.
So when you were over there, over in Romania, what was the thing you were missing most about Australia?
Definitely the weather, the sunshine, the beaches. For sure. But like I said, at the same time, Romania has its own culture, and to experience that was fantastic. But you do miss Australian lifestyle. Lifestyle in here is in this country is incredible. But my wife and I, Jenny, we were together then, and she'd come over sometimes. And the thing I'd always say I always missed the most was meat pies. Was definitely one. A good meat pie, and then a good big breakfast from coffee club. We had a coffee club in Brisbane near us, and just a good big breakfast from coffee club was probably one of the first things I'd get: a meat pie and a big breakfast from the coffee club were the two things that I think I miss the most.
Bacon, eggs, everything. Yeah,
Yeah, the
really, really
works.
good.
So throughout your time playing, were you always in defence, or did you play in any other positions?
No, I was always a striker, to be honest, a striker winger. The old National Soccer League, I played as a striker. Brisbane Strikers last season in the National Soccer League, I think I won their Golden Boot as a young player off the bench. I think I scored 8 goals off the bench, and that won me Golden Boot. And then when I got signed, I scored New Zealand Knights' first ever goal against Sydney FC in Auckland, and that was playing up front. And then when I went to Romania, I went as a striker. There was an Australian boy there, Michael Baird, was from Brisbane. He was there, and he got me over there to be his strike partner. Funnily enough, we never played up front together, but it was one of those things where I got moved. Obviously, I'm left footer, so I got played on the left wing a lot, and then I played in the left midfield in a 4-4-2, and then it just so happened we didn't have any left fullbacks in the club at the time. They were all injured or suspended, so I played one game as a left fullback, and our coach was struggling at the time, and our new coach was in the stands watching. So after that game, I done quite well, but after that game, they let the coach go, and the new coach come in, and I just kept playing left back. And to be honest, I didn't mind. I didn't mind it at all. He was an Italian coach, and he played for Juventus as a defender. So he helped me on the defending side a lot. He knew I was a very attacking fullback, which he liked. He wanted to play that style. And the defensive side of the game, he helped a lot with that. So it just meant I played every week, so I didn't mind where I was playing, and I could, build my individual game. So it worked out well.
So, on coming back to Australia, why the Mariners, or did they give you an offer you couldn't refuse?
No, look, when it was time to come back, my wife and I decided it was time to come back. She was due with our second child, and we wanted to come back to Australia. We actually had an offer from Ange at Brisbane Roar. From I think Laurie was still involved at the Mariners. So I was talking to both of those clubs, and it was actually something. I think we'd pushed ourselves out of our comfort zone a few times, and things had worked out for Jenny and I. So we were comfortable coming back to Brisbane. We had a house that we lived with Jenny's parents, obviously, like we had a little granny flat back then, and they lived in the main house. But we just, I don't know, it was almost too easy for me and Jenny. We wanted to experience something else. So we took up the Central Coast offer. We looked into it a little bit. It looked like a lovely place. And yeah, I think the goal initially was to come here for a few years and potentially end up back in Brisbane. But I mean, Central Coast is probably one of them places you come and you don't leave. So it's just worked out like that, which has been fantastic.
So apart from winning the grand final, of course, what was your favourite moment of being a Mariner?
If you could pick one.
Yeah, look, outside the grand final, obviously that's a very memorable one. I think winning the premiership over in Wellington in my second year here, where we'd had quite a good season, but we limped over the line a little bit, and it was a tough challenge to sort of get that win over in Wellington. That was a really memorable moment. I think it was the sort of the first trophy we'd won together in that group that was really close. So that was definitely a memorable moment for me with the Mariners.
Okay, so that's as a Mariner, but what was your favourite at our stadium?
At our stadium, I'd have two favourites. My first game there against Adelaide United. It was fantastic to play in front of that crowd. It was a sunny day. It was a good day. I had a good day. I was just full of energy. It was one of those days you just felt good, and things panned out. We got the win. No, we might not have actually. We might have had a 1-1 draw, but it just felt really good. It felt like I was part of something special. So that was definitely a great moment at that stadium. And then the second one was actually a game we lost, but it was in the year we won the grand final. We played West Sydney Wanderers at home, and I think there was a massive crowd. It was pouring down rain non-stop, and we had about 18,000. I think Wanderers bought about half that whole stand on the other side, and they scored in the 81st minute, I think, to beat us 1-0. But we absolutely dominated the game from start to finish. I think from memory, we missed a penalty. We hit the post a few times, and I think we finished that game probably thinking we're not going to win the premiership, but if we play them again, we're going to beat them. Like that was the mentality. But just the whole atmosphere of that game was incredible. Pouring rain and the crowd atmosphere, yeah, incredible for a game at that stadium. Really good, really good.
Yeah,
It stands out.
Labino Halidi with that goal
Yeah,
just broke everyone's hearts for that moment.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So back to the grand final, talking of the grand final, was there a certain point in the 2013 grand final that you actually could relax and go, yes, we've got this in the bag?
Probably not after the 10-11 grand final.
Oh, yeah, by the way,
Probably.
McGreen says stay on the back post.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. With five to go. So look, yeah, honestly, after that, I think we learnt our lesson not to take too much for granted. But we did a talk with Ezio through the week. We do a bit with Ezio with the boys and things like that, and he mentioned something through the week about those games where you just know everything's good. You turn up and everything is like it just feels special. For me, it just felt like the week was really relaxed. We were ready for that game, and so no, probably not in the game. Was there a moment where I allowed myself to think, I think we've won this? I don't think I allowed myself until that final whistle went, but through the week, you definitely felt that something special was going to happen.
Absolutely. And it did. Okay, so who was the worst opposition to face, team and player?
Look, I think Melbourne Victory, when they were good, were very difficult to play, especially as a fullback. The attacking style they played. I remember we mentioned Marco Rojas before we went on air, and him in his prime was very good at Melbourne Victory. Costa Barbarouses as well, two very tricky wingers where they like to get in behind you or get the ball and run at you a lot. So these players were very difficult to play against, especially away from home. with the victory crowd, and when they were at top of the game, they're very, very tough opponents, and yeah, but very big challenges as well, which I always enjoyed playing against.
Oh God.
That's okay. Sorry, lost track. Okay. Did you have any game day superstitions? Or
I probably did. I like to do a lot of things the same on game day. I wouldn't say I had any like really weird superstitions or anything like that, but there were just general things that I liked. Andrew Clark knew that I always liked to have a banana and things in the change room. If that wasn't in the change room, he had to go and find me some bananas and just little things like that. But yeah, my game day, my whole game day build up was very focused towards the game. Uh, my wife actually liked me playing away games because when I was at home on the Central Coast, it was a nightmare with the young kids because she'd have to get up in the morning and take the young kids out, and she'd do like a whole day. So I could just focus, and that's yeah, maybe a little bit precious, but that was the way I sort of focused for the game and got through. But yeah, I wouldn't say overly too superstitious with the same jocks and these sorts of things, or
that's
put
what I was
the
going to ask.
Quasi had some weird superstitions. I roomed with
Oh,
him
do
every
tell,
now and
do
then,
tell.
but I just put the right sock on first. I can't even remember what he did now, but little things like that. So I didn't have any of those sort of things, but I did like a game day routine. I did like a set game day routine.
So I'm pretty sure the answer will be Daniel McBreen to this following question. But who would you say was the biggest joker in the team, or the best worst roommate?
Oh, and
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry, and
yeah.
or.
Look, but okay, he was good value to have around the change room. He was always joking around, making sure that everyone was always lighthearted through the tough times, which is always good to have, I think. Uh, Look, best roomie. I had a few good roommates, to be honest. Justin Passfield, I roomed with a bit. He was very quiet, easygoing. Adam Kwasnik loved to sleep and just do his own thing. So these sort of roommates, they're very easy to deal with. They're very easygoing. Even Vuka, when we go away now, room with Vuka, he just likes to sleep and we do our own thing. It's perfect. We don't get in each other's way, and that's that's the best way. As far as a worst teammate, I think at the Mariners I was quite lucky. I always had good roommates. But when I went to Melbourne City, I roomed with Neil Kilkenny. He was a fantastic guy off the pitch. On the pitch, he's a little mongrel, but he's a great guy off the pitch. We got on well, but geez, he snored like a chimney. That boy, I could never get any sleep when I was
probably
there.
needed a sleep apnea machine.
He did. His snoring was terrible, terrible. So yeah, I'd say put him down as the best, worst roommate just because of his snoring.
So,
You'd find you out in the hallway asleep with your pillow and
Yeah,
blanket halfway through the night.
yeah, pretty
so
much.
at any point, did you have McBreen as the roommate? If so, was he a good one or?
I don't think we roomed that much, to be honest. Maybe on the off occasion, but yeah, no, he was all right. He was probably just terrible after the game on the night out. You never know what you're going to get, but nah, he was fine. Like all the boys were good on the build up to the game. You don't really do too much sleep after lunch and things like that. But
Mm.
yeah, everyone was pretty cruisy.
What you're saying about sharing with Booker at the moment, you're a dad of 3 boys. He's a dad of 2 boys. He's a little younger. But yeah, of course they're going to sleep. It's
Yeah, catch up
downtime.
on
You've
their
got
sleep. Yeah,
downtime away. Nothing to
100%.
interfere with your sleep. Okay,
Yeah.
so your time as a player, any strange requests from fans that you can put out there to the general public?
No, I wouldn't say we've got any strange requests.
Like
No, I
sign
haven't
my
got any.
stomach
I
or
do. No, I do like joke with my boys, and it's not like a joke, but it's a really good thing I say about the coast to certain people. that I think everyone feels like they can just talk to you like a normal person on the Central Coast, which is fantastic. I felt like when you're at when I was in Melbourne and Melbourne City, you see people and they recognise you, and it's like, oh, they're almost too scared to talk to you. But here on the coast, it's like they just treat you like a normal person, which is great. It's what you want. So, I'll be with my boys in Bunnings and have a 10-minute conversation with someone and then walk away, and my boys are like, "Who's that?" And I'm like, "I have no idea."
I have no idea. Yeah.
That's the case, but it's fantastic. It's like that. I like it. I like it. I like that they feel like they can come and talk to you and have a conversation and ask questions, and it's just honest across the board, and that's what I like about the coast. Always have and always will.
Well, that's the true community spirit, and
Yeah,
being without a national sporting team in any other code, you know. I remember
definitely.
quite often going through Erin Affair and bumping into players and playing spotto with this one,
Perez,
past and
Cosma.
present Mariners, walking around Erin Affair or Tuggerah or something like that. So, yeah.
But talking about that, I will have to say one thing.
What?
Josh, you've been absolutely fantastic with when people see you in public, being very approachable,
Oh, yeah.
having great conversations with us fans, and just keeping us in the loop and everything.
Always
It's
good.
been a pleasure, man. It's always good.
Okay, so if you weren't playing football, what would you have done? I did see something written, it was Wikipedia, that you had worked with troubled youth before you got
Didn't you
into
say it was
football,
LinkedIn?
wasn't it? Oh, no. Oh, LinkedIn, yeah. Your LinkedIn profile. I've been stalking you. That you'd worked in schools or something before football?
Yeah, I did. I used to before I went to Romania. Actually, it was in that period. I was going into primary schools and working with the kids that had just been suspended time and time again, and they were on their last legs, so to speak. But yeah, I'd go in and spend some time with them and try and help them do as much schoolwork as possible, and then obviously do a lot of sport with them. That's outside. You can connect a lot better with sport and things like that. So I actually really enjoyed that. And when I got the Romanian job, to be honest, I was working with a boy called Storm, actually. Um, he was about 10 years old, but he was very troubled. And I'd done a bit of work with him, and he was actually coming quite good. And when I rang Joe, the lady who was helping me get the work, and I said, "Oh, look, I've got to move to Romania," she was like, "Oh," like she was really
Mm.
worried about Storm because look, it is difficult for these kids. They don't really have many people to rely on, so it's tough. And I think I had to break it to him, and it was it was something that I really enjoyed, that type of work. Um, but yeah, it was good to sort of help people with with sport. But I don't know. I don't think I really help Magic Secret or anything. I think I just talk to them and listen more than anything, and then you can bring that up in the next conversation when you see them. So yeah, whether I would have gone into that work if I wasn't a footballer, I'm not too sure. I always think I might have ended up in the army, to be honest, if I didn't end up as a footballer. But yeah, not sure.
So would you have taken any ex-teammates with you to straighten them up into the army?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. It's you'd only want the good ones in there, to be honest. The ones that really have your back.
Absolutely.
So yeah, no, look, there's been a few boys that you definitely have by your side in the army over the years for sure.
Macca would have ended up getting dismissed after a day or two.
Leave Macca out of this. Okay, so coaches that you've had, who would you say, not necessarily the best coach, but you got a lot more out of? And have any of these coaches also influenced your coaching style?
Look, that coach that I mentioned in Romania, Nicolo Napoli, his name was, he probably had a big influence on me because he helped my defending so much. He was a defender himself for Juventus, so he he developed me as an individual a lot when I was in that period. So thinking back, he did have a big impact on how far I went. And when I came back and I was a left fullback, I brought a lot of that back with me. So him as an individual, definitely individual development, he helped me a lot. In regards to me, probably looking at a coach and thinking that suits my characteristics, my personality, and I really liked the way they worked, and I, as a player, really enjoyed playing under them, was probably Graham Arnold. I take away a lot from when I played under him, and a lot of my coaching style and characteristics, I think, in regards to his man management style, is what I use today. In regards to tactics and things like that, it's constantly changing and evolving. So I'm constantly reading new things. But yeah, look, I think I'm very adaptable and things like that, which Arnie was. He was extremely adaptable to different formations and week to week, rather than just that's my one style, I'm going to stick with it type of thing. I think I'm a little bit more adaptable type of coach.
So did you also take some stuff away from Clarkey?
Yeah, look, Clarkie's fantastic in regards to, well, I've got my own boys now and my own academy. So just in regards to building up bodies for for full-time football, little tricks and tips and things like that. Definitely, I've taken a lot from Clarkie in regards to that to help young players or just players in general. We've got a lot of young boys in the Mariners setup, so just help them with little things they can do after a game to help build their body for the long-term future. So yeah, look, Clarkey was massive, and even to this day, like working under Jacko and Scully this year, I've learned a great deal. Those two have a massive amount of experience working in England under some fantastic coaches. So it's one of those things this year. I've probably not talked much and tried to listen as much as I can and ask as many questions as I can, because you just can't buy experience like that those guys bring to this country. So yeah, with those two as well, just very good coaches.
And it's ever evolving, isn't it?
It is. It's constantly evolving. So, I think Jacko and Scully are extremely adaptable. You see that halftime, a lot of games, they change, and a lot of discussions they have is very good. It's always football. It's always football. So they're enjoyable to be around.
So are you currently studying for any of the coaching badges or
higher ones?
Or like higher up ones?
I've got my A license, and I'm currently applying to get on the next pro, which will start in September. So yeah, I'm in the final stages of that. So hopefully that goes through and I can get on that in September.
So more homework for you.
Yeah.
And so once you retired, was it always the plan to have your academy, or was that just something that hit you one day and you went with?
No, it was always in the plans. I think the academy's probably started 2 or 3 years while I was still playing. Even when I was 19, 20, when I first moved to Brisbane from Rockhampton, I worked for an academy similar to mine as a coach. So even back then, I always really enjoyed working with the younger kids and watching people develop and get better and just achieve things that they didn't think was possible. So yeah, I've always had a massive interest in that. So obviously, having three boys myself, I've almost used them as my own guinea pigs in a way. With development in this country, I've got my own opinions on development in this country and how things could possibly change or what needs to be changed. But I keep a lot of that to myself, to be honest. And yeah, it's just benefit to the kids here. Some parents like to hear that, some parents don't. But I think individual development needs to be at the forefront for a lot of kids to a certain age. Whereas I think team development's probably put more to the forefront too young. I don't think kids develop individually enough, but that's my opinion.
And that's perfectly that's the way it's got to be, I
and
think.
it's worked well for your eldest now that he's part of the academy, like with the Mariners and that. So
Yeah, look, and that's where he lacks a little bit now, probably with the team stuff, because I focus heavily on the individual development. But I think they have time to build that team and tactic side of things as they get older. Because if you're not good enough individually, then you're going to struggle in any team setup at a high level. So yeah, but yeah, it's a long journey with anything. So you just can't be in a rush with those sort of things. You just got to keep grinding and grinding, and hopefully one day your opportunity comes.
So was it strange walking back out onto the grounds at Industry Group Stadium as a coach after
Uh,
being there as a player?
it was
Or was it an
exciting.
eerie feeling? Yeah.
I wouldn't say it was an eerie feeling. I felt like it was a really exciting feeling. Completely different to being a player.
Mm.
You do all your work through the week, and then there's limited stuff you can change within the game. But I love being a part of it. I love the game day thing, and yeah, look, it was an exciting, really exciting feeling, to be honest. I was, yeah, very, very happy to be back involved at that level. Obviously, I did the 18s, 20s, and
Mm.
things like that, but then to be back out in the stadium with the A-League team was, yeah, it was a great feeling.
So do you think we'll see a Rose in the first team again?
Possibly. Look, Jai's working hard. I think he's doing quite well within the NPL team at the moment in the first grade. It's a tough competition, that New South Wales NPL. So, my message to him at 17 is if he can get 30 games of there under his belt, it's fantastic for his development, and he's doing quite well. So, you know what dad's like, but they never give too much praise. It's always keep working on that, keep working on that. So look, it's yeah, it's one of them things. I'm not sure. He's got to do his own journey, and that I
Mm.
help him as much as I can. He knows that, but he's got to. He's he's in the right place at the moment. I think for a 17-year-old kid to kick on, and yeah, hopefully it's with the Mariners and not someone else.
Oh, please not.
hopefully he could score a few more goals than you did.
Yeah, hopefully he might play a bit higher up, so he might get himself in that box a bit more.
Okay, so now just for some fun questions. So who's your favorite player of all time?
Favorite player of all time, I think, was Gianfranco Zola. Back in the day, he was exciting to watch. That was back in the days when I was still an attacker. So I used to watch him. Used to like him, and yeah, he was very exciting to watch. Game in the balance, he was always seemed to step up. So he was good.
That was something that I've forgotten in the questions.
Okay.
Just a quick question. There was the 2 seasons of playing in the A-League
All-Stars.
All-Stars. Did you get starstruck at all before walking onto the pitch with some of those players?
Probably the first year, probably did the Man United game. I think, yeah, I think that was probably the first year we experienced it. So there
Mm.
was a massive buzz around it, and probably was a little bit starstruck, to be honest. Jai himself was a massive Man United fan, so that probably didn't help at home. Him telling me I'm going to get flogged all week. So, um, yeah,
That's what
cheeky little
sons are
bugger.
for.
But look, yeah, it was one of those games where you're probably never going to experience me in my life. So it was great for my kids to watch me play against Man United. But yeah, I was probably a bit starstruck that first year. I think the second year against Juventus, it was a little bit different feeling. It was almost like, let's have a crack here. I think we could try and beat these guys. So it was still respect, but I don't think we feared them as much. And it was, I think it showed they scored a late winner, which makes it exciting.
So, who do you believe's the greatest player of football of all time?
I got to go with Lionel Messi on that one. I think he's incredible. He is incredible.
I was worried that you were going to say Ronaldo there.
Nah,
And I'm assuming because you said John Carlos Zola was your favorite player, your favorite EPL team is Chelsea. Am I correct in thinking that?
it is. Yes, yes, it is. It's to be honest, I don't really have a massive following with Chelsea. It was the first jersey I was given as a young kid. That's why I sort of follow them. Now that I've watched a lot of football, I think I just download games and watch teams with certain tactics and formations and defensive or attacking setups. So yeah, I don't follow Chelsea through and through, but I probably more follow teams and their formations now, to be honest.
Okay, so if you could have dinner with any three footballers, past or present, who would they be and why?
I think the first one would be Lionel Messi, obviously, because he's just a fantastic person as well as a player. And I'd love to pick his brain on his development. How did he become that type of player? What did he do as a kid? Developing through, did he do a lot of isolated training? Was it a lot of games, things like that? So I'd like to pick his brain on that sense. The second one would be Sir Alex Ferguson. I think he's a fantastic coach. I've listened to his audiobook, and I think he's someone who really gets the man management side of the game, and he's got it down pat. And he got it down pat for a very, very long time through different generations. So I'd love to pick his brain on different things in regards to standards and but still being that person that everyone loved. It's a hard thing to do. The third one's probably a one that's a little bit out there, but he probably just recently I've started following him a fair bit. It's the Thomas Frank, the Brentford coach. There's been a few little documentaries about him recently, but I've looked into him a lot lately, and his path through coaching was a very long journey, and it was through the Danish young national teams first, and then he got his move to club football before getting a move to Brentford and then staying there a long time. He just seems like a really genuine person, uh, a really good leader to his players, a really good leader to his own staff. And yeah, I'd love to, yeah, have dinner with him and pick his brain as well about his journey and what he's learned and, things like that. They're probably the three, to be honest.
So, would you go as far as saying Sir Alex Ferguson's probably the best manager of all time, or is there someone else like Arsene Wenger or Jose Mourinho that you'd say would
Yeah,
be up there?
look, I put Sir Alex and Arsene in the same boat. They both did an extremely incredible job at Arsenal and Man United over a very, very long period. Uh, Both very good coaches. It's something that, as a player, I didn't really like moving around too much. I like to stay in one place and try and just build that legacy type of thing. So, what those guys did at those clubs, they built legacies and they'll be remembered for forever within those clubs with what they done there. But yeah, I'd put those two above a lot of coaches. Jose Mourinho has won a lot. I wouldn't say he's overly left a legacy anywhere at one club. He's done it at a few clubs, which is very, very difficult to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, just looking at Sir Alex and Arsene and what they did over a long period is probably more suited to what I like to do.
Okay. So, if you were to do a karaoke song, what would it be? And if you don't do karaoke, what's your favorite music genre to listen to?
I think my karaoke song, I wouldn't say my karaoke song, but most of the time my initiation song, my go-to was K Sam, Jimmy Barnes. bit of Jimmy Barnes, nice easy one, and you got to hope the boys start singing, joining in that after about the first verse because my singing's not great.
Oh, so we can't get in hear a little bit of that.
No,
Not tonight.
not tonight.
Too many kids around still.
Okay, I want to
Yeah.
ask the question I thought of.
Okay, go on.
Okay, so you mentioned the kids earlier. So over your time, which Central Coast Mariners teammate would you have let babysit them when they were younger, and who wouldn't you let, and why?
This is a funny one because I have actually let a few boys babysit our kids. Once by default, and then once because we needed help. Me and Jenny wanted to have a date night. So the first one was in I think it was my first season. We had a game against Sydney FC on a Sunday afternoon, and on the way home we trained at the stadium, and we trained about lunchtime. And then on the way home, I wasn't feeling great. By the time I got home, I said to Jenny, "I'm not feeling great." And within about an hour, I'd started throwing up, and I couldn't stop throwing up all afternoon. Stomach bug or something. I'm not sure what it was, but Jenny straight away, you need to ring Clarky and Arnie and tell them you can't play tomorrow. No, and I just said, no, I'll be fine. Meanwhile, it was the middle of summer, I think, and I'm sitting on the couch at 5 o'clock in the afternoon with two doonas on me, shivering. So yeah, it's safe to say I woke up the next morning about 6 o'clock after throwing up all night and rang Clarky first thing and just said, I've tried, but there's no way I'll be able to play today. And through the night, Jenny had got the same stomach bug. So she woke up next to me. We had buckets either side of us. And I think at the time, Jai was maybe 4 or 5. And I think Dylan was quite young as well, maybe 2. And we were both crook as a dog and we didn't know what to do. And I ended up ringing Roston Griffiths because I ended up ringing him. He said we knew his girlfriend, Letitia, at the time. Because we didn't have family here, we didn't have anyone here that we really knew. It was still quite early, so he ended up driving around, and his girlfriend ended up coming picking up the kids, and his parents were actually in town that weekend, so they were fantastic for me and Jenny that day. They took them out, they took them all day, and then dropped them home in the afternoon. And to this day, yeah, Roston's parents, I get on with them very well, and they're part of our family, I suppose. They got look after the boys by default, but Roston was very good with the boys after that as well. The boys always got on with Roston really well. And the other one was Brad Porter, actually lived around the corner from us, and him and his girlfriend at the time, Steph, we used to get to look after the boys a few times. So yeah, it's just 2 boys, but I mean, back then we could have asked anyone. It was a fantastic bunch of boys, and my boys loved football, and they were just non-stop. So it was almost chaos when they get them with the young boys because they'd come back and they'd know all the naughty words and things like that. So probably not the best idea, but yeah, look, it was just a good bunch of boys to have around, and I think I would have trusted anyone to look after them.
So their footballing uncles have just been teaching them brand new words.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, pretty much.
Absolutely.
I was going to actually mention this earlier, back to the football topic. What's your thoughts on VAR and how it's being used?
Because you were in when it first started, you was playing.
Weren't you at Melbourne City when it first came into the A League? And now
Yeah, I
you're an
think
assistant.
so. I
Okay, because
think
it
so.
said
It's difficult, isn't it? It's still not sure we get out of it what we need. There still seems like there's a lot of grey areas. It was meant to cut out the grey areas, I felt. But sometimes when the decision goes to VAR, you look at the screen and you're still not sure what the referee's going to call. It still comes down to the referee's decision. He just gets to have a look at it on the video. So not sure it cuts out the grey decisions. I would much rather the referee make the decision in real time, and you know what? That just he sticks with it. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's one of those tough ones. I think you have your seasons where the calls go your way, and then you have your seasons where the VAR calls don't go your way. This year, to be honest, we've probably had one where the really close calls that haven't gone our way. The past few seasons when we've been successful, we probably had the ones where they did go our way. So,
doing that
yeah,
way.
there's still a lot of grey area. There's still a lot of grey area even with the VAR. But look, the clear and obvious, then that's what VAR is for. The clear and obvious ones when they overrule or rule it a goal, then yeah, great. But it's those really split decisions still that yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure
Yeah,
it's doing its
like on
job
the
in
weekend.
those moments.
On the weekend for
In the Adelaide game.
the Adelaide
the guy
game. Did he
tripped us,
touch it or
didn't he?
didn't he?
I don't know. I watched it today, and then he said in real time that he touched it, didn't he? And then when he overruled it, he said he didn't get a touch. But I think
Yeah.
you could clearly see he got the slightest nick. I think personally, if he come out and said he got a slight nick, but I think Azani still could have got the ball, then everyone goes, okay, no worries.
Yeah,
Well, he's made
fair
a
enough.
decision that's fair enough. Pen. But he's come out and said he didn't touch it, and I'm like, I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
So yeah.
sometimes you just want him to come out and explore. Like after a game, like Jacko's got to do a press conference. The opposition manager's got to do a press conference. If there's a big decision like that,
Get the refs.
the ref should just come out and say, "This is why I made that decision." So that way we can at least go, "Okay, that's what he's thinking." Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely know they rile Booker up. That's for sure.
Yeah.
We can tell.
Yeah. Well, was that another yellow card on the weekend?
No, I don't think so. I don't.
No.
He didn't get a card.
Oh, wasn't
No,
it?
I
But he
don't
did
think
have
so.
a very big conversation with the fourth official at one point. I thought he would have got a card, but he didn't.
Alrighty. Okay. Well, that's all the questions we have on the list. Colin, any extras?
Just one from me. Similar to the question just then about VAR, the proposed change to the rule for offside. How do you see that? Is that going to benefit the game?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one either. I think it's going to be difficult to manage. Like, because what are they saying? Are they saying whole body? Or are they saying part of the body? Or
I've heard the whole body has to be. So they're basically it's going back, as I
there's
understand.
got to be
the old
daylight or
rule is
something, isn't it?
There's got to be a gap between the last defender and the back of the attacking player.
Yeah, look, I think it'll bring in more goals. I think it'll. I think it may create more space between the lines as well because defenders are going to be more likely to drop when there's a forward run and not take that chance so much. So yeah, look, I'm not sure. I suppose it's one of those ones you don't really know until they bring it in. But I think it could allow more goals, which obviously makes the game more exciting. You just hope they're on your side, not against you.
And maybe adding on that, in my younger days, apart from being a footballer and after I joined the armed services, I played a lot of field hockey and they got rid of the offside rule. What would be your thoughts on that?
Oh, I wouldn't say get rid of it altogether. I think that would change the game completely. I think. I think, to be honest, that would create a lot of one v one. The individual players would benefit greatly. To be fair, but yeah, I just think it would just stretch the field way too much and things like that. But yeah, I don't know. I think I don't mind the new rule. It's different, but yeah, we'll just see. We'll see how it pans out.
I just have one more question. How did Christian pull up this morning after his goal celebration yesterday? I cannot believe that guy can do that sort of thing.
And how did you guys react on the bench? Were you just like, please land this, please?
Yeah, I think everyone was more stunned with the somersaults than the goal, to be honest. Chrissy amazes everyone every day with what he comes out with. So yeah, no, look, I'm wrapped for him. He's had a stop-start season, so he's a great kid. He's well liked in the change room. So I think everyone was happy that he got the goal and that he did land the somersault because we need him next week. So
yeah, absolutely. Okie dokie.
One of my favourite goals for a while.
Alrighty, Colin.
That's it.
That's all we got. Thank you so much, Josh. It's been a blast. Knew it would be.
No worries. It's been a
Knew
pleasure,
it would
guys.
be. And for anyone
Oh,
out there
hang
who
on.
has children or grandchildren, Rose Academy, Adelaide Street, Pumbiumbi. Yep.
Yep, that's the one.
I just want to know if he's got any comeback to McBreen,
Oh, okay, yeah.
because he was when we asked him if he had any advice for the strength and not
No.
strength and conditioning, the set piece coach, his instant response was, "Oh, don't tell me it's Josh Rose."
And
And then he just kept saying, tell him to keep on his back
stay on the
post.
back post.
So do you have any comeback to him?
Oh, look, to my defence, Matty Ryan went out to catch a ball and I tucked in because it's just defenders' natural habit. Someone goes forward, everyone else slides in, and it was just one of those moments.
You'll never live it down with Macca.
Never live it down, never live anything down with Macca.
True. We've just got to get the dirt on him now.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks again, guys. Hope everybody enjoyed it out there. Thanks, Josh, for your time. It's been fabulous. And see you back at home. When is it? Sunday week? No, something like that. Couple of weeks.
Yeah, something like that, I think.
Easter. That's when it is.
Go and beat those City boys this weekend.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Give them stick. Thanks, Josh.
See you later, guys.
Bye,
Yeah.
darling.